Have you ever gotten your locks wet, maybe from a recent wash or while swimming, and then all of a sudden you notice a really bad smell coming from them? Well, if you have, that's a sign that you have mold or mildew or both in your locks. In today's video, I will be discussing 3 ways to get rid of that stinky smell by removing the mold and mildew from your locks. Let's get to it. Symmetry you. Symmetry you. Symmetry. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. And before we get into the topic at hand, I would like to ask you guys to do one small favor for me. Please watch the entire video. The more of my video you watch, the higher the chances that many other people will see it. And it's just one small way that you can help me out. Alright, on to Stinky Locs, mold and mildew. So first let's discuss what are the causes of mold and mildew in locks. You need 2 things. 1, a consistent source of moisture, such as having trapped water in your locks or trapped products that come in the form of buildup. The second requirement is an inability for your hair to dry thoroughly. This can happen oftentimes when your hair is wet and then it's immediately put up in a bun or a ponytail or many other updos. It can even happen just by having locks because of the nature of locks. What makes up a lock? Matted hair. It can be hard for thick locks especially, but locks of all sizes to dry thoroughly because of all the matting and therefore shielding of the outside environment. Alright, so now that we've discussed a couple of the causes, I'm going to now speak a little bit about 3 of the ways that I know how to remove mold and mildew from your locks. The first way is by using a sulfate-rich clarifying shampoo. Notice I didn't say free, a sulfate-rich clarifying shampoo. More on that later. The second way that I know of is using an essential oil spray treatment. And the third way is by using distilled white vinegar. Now I know what you're thinking, sulfates are bad for your hair, hence sulfate-free shampoo and many other products, right? I know, and you are correct. But this might be a necessary evil for some. Let me explain. Sulfates do indeed strip natural oils and naturally occurring protein from your hair and scalp, which can lead to dry and brittle hair. However, sulfates are also known to have the deepest cleansing effects due to their lathering nature. These foaming agents allow for a more effective job of cleaning dirt, oil, and dead skin cells from your scalp and hair. So while they are drying and can have negative effects, you cannot refute the evidence that they are awesome cleansers and might be just what you need. And besides that, if you're doing what you should after you fix the problem of mold and mildew, then you shouldn't have to do this over and over again. So if you do decide to use a sulfate-rich clarifying shampoo, be sure that that shampoo reaches the core of your locks. That's where the source of the problem is. That's where the mold and the mildew and the source of the smell is coming from. That clarifying shampoo needs to get to that so that it can neutralize it and so that it can start to break down the mildew and the mold. If the shampoo doesn't get there, then you're never getting at the heart of the problem. Kind of like most things in life, right? You gotta get at the core, you gotta get at the source, you gotta get at the heart of the problem, or the problem is still gonna be there. After that shampoo has thoroughly penetrated your locks, be sure to rinse it out thoroughly. If you don't rinse the shampoo out thoroughly, then that shampoo will now become part of the problem. It will now help to create more mold, more mildew, and more stink. Now, once thoroughly rinsed, this is the most important part, allow your locks to thoroughly dry. Allow them to dry completely. If they don't dry completely, you're going to be creating the problem all over again, okay? Remember that. Dry your locks. Now, if you decide to go the essential oil treatment spray route, then you can choose an essential oil of your liking, something like tea tree oil, which is my preference, or you can use grapefruit oil. but you're gonna have to dilute it because it's an essential oil. So for grapefruit oil, you would wanna mix 20 drops of that essential oil with 2 cups of water. If you're gonna use my personal favorite, tea tree oil, then you wanna mix 2 tablespoons with 2 cups of water. And if you're wondering why tea tree oil is my personal favorite, it's because tea tree oil is antibacterial, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, and antifungal. Doesn't get better than that. You're gonna put this tea tree oil mixture into a spray bottle and then spray the problematic areas. Once again, make sure that you're penetrating to the core so that the tea tree oil and all of its awesome properties can get to the source of the problem and resolve it. All right, so we've finally arrived at the third way I know of removing mold and mildew from your locks, and that is by using distilled white vinegar. Now, before you guys ask, yes, you can use apple cider vinegar as well, but white vinegar is a little bit more acidic and, in my opinion, more effective. So that's just something to keep in mind. And here's just a little bit of information that you might be interested in knowing. Vinegar kills 82% of mold species. So that's pretty freaking awesome. Just as with an essential oil, this vinegar will also need to be diluted. The ratio is slightly different. It's 4-to-1. 4 parts water, 1 part vinegar. So an example would be to use 1/4 cup of vinegar with 1 cup of water. Also, as with the essential oil mixture, pour it into a spray bottle and then spray it on those problematic areas, making sure that it penetrates to the core of the lock. Now with this vinegar, you're gonna let it set for about 10 minutes on your locks, and then you're going to rinse it out thoroughly. I know there are gonna be some of you who are worried about your locks smelling like vinegar after you rinse this mixture out of your locks. Let me just say it'll only be a hint of vinegar that you're gonna smell, and that's gonna fade away. This vinegar mixture is going to serve to neutralize that odor and break down the mold and mildew. Now, after you have thoroughly rinsed out the vinegar from your locks and you still have that musty, mildewy smell, then just repeat the process. It shouldn't take too many repetitions to do the job, okay? But trust, it will work. And if you are just so concerned about your locks smelling like vinegar after you rinse, you can feel free to shampoo your locks. But like I said before, make sure you rinse it out thoroughly or it becomes part of the problem. And then once again, lastly, the most important step is to allow your locks to dry thoroughly. So don't put them up in a ponytail, don't put it up in a bun. Don't allow your locks to sit wet for a long time, or you're not gonna ever get rid of the problem of mold and mildew. Now let's talk preventative measure. Shampoo and product residue can become a breeding ground for bacterial growth. So a preventative measure that we can take would be to thoroughly shampoo, rinse, and dry your locks each washing session. Because all it takes is one time for your locks to have been wet for too long, and then you have mold and mildew. All right, I'm gonna leave you guys with a few cautions, okay? So if you decide to use any of these 3 ways of removing mold and mildew from your locks, I wanna caution you. The first is that if your hair is naturally dry, has been colored, or tends to be brittle, using vinegar may dry it out more and make breakage more likely. A second caution is that you might have a skin or scalp sensitivity to sulfates, or you could even be allergic to them. And this would obviously preclude you from using a sulfate-rich clarifying shampoo. The third and final caution that I have for you is that vinegar has been known to lighten the hair. So if that is something that you're worried about, keep that in mind. And let me just say that this is why it's so important to take preventative measures, so you don't have to worry about these potential effects of doing what you need to do to get rid of the mold and the mildew. I truly hope this video has been helpful to you. There's nothing fun about having smelly locks, especially because we already know that there's this false idea that locks are dirty. So we want to do everything we can to have good smelling, clean locks so that we can be a good example for everyone else in the lock community. Now, if you made it this far in the video, please write in your comments the number of minutes that I said vinegar should sit in your hair before rinsing out. If you like this video, please like it, and if you want to see more content from me, then hit that subscribe button. I upload on Sundays. As always, please learn to love unconditionally, because loving with conditions conditions the heart to not really love at all. So Betray You is out.